Yo guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be going through every single NHL team and picking one free agent they will sign this offseason. Now, we're only a few weeks away from free agency actually beginning and actually going underway, and we've heard a lot of juicy rumors recently about where the top guys especially will go in this class. So, when it comes to every single team, where do I see the big free agents going, and who do I see your team signing in this offseason? Watch till the end for all my predictions and picks, and of course, hit that big red subscribe button for more videos just like this one. Now, before I get into the video, I also want to announce pretty much the first ever giveaway I'll do on this channel. To celebrate 22K subscribers, I'm going to be giving away this Vegas Golden Knights hat. I have my other Vegas Golden Knights hat in the corner, and this one is basically an extra. It's a all size fits all, very sleek hat. So if you want to win this, all you got to do is in the comments, put Dobby in the comments. It could be for a separate comment, just Dobby, or a part of one of the comments you're going to do already. Just put that in the comments and you will be entered. I'll be announcing the winner probably in the next video, so probably around the 22nd, so look out for that. But yeah, if you want this Vegas Golden Knights hat, it's going to be given away. Thanks so much for 22K subscribers. And now on to the video. And we're going to start out with the Anaheim Ducks and the one free agent that I think they will sign this offseason. I think they're going to go for a backup for Ryan Miller with him going into free agency, but a guy who can get a lot of games played in and give John Gibson some rest. I think they'll go for Aaron Dell from the San Jose Sharks, 2-year deal at $2.2 million. I think he's deserving of that a little bit of a long-term contract, had a solid year in San Jose, and I think, again, can get sizable games in. I mean, he's been working with Martin Jones as his starter. I think the upgraded John Gibson will be quite welcomed. Then going on to Arizona, I see them going for a more cheap side defenseman, but a guy who can be maybe is somewhat reliable. A guy like Mark Pysyk, I think, is a decent fit from the Florida Panthers. I think they'll go for a 2-year deal at $2.4 million. I don't think Pysyk is all that great anymore, but I think Arizona will look at some cheap options, especially with guys like OEL, Goligoski, Hjalmarsson all gone this offseason in trades. I think they will look to free agency to kind of shore up that defense just a little bit, spend less, but still get some guys on the team. Then going on to the Boston Bruins, with them likely having Krug out the door, I think they will be in the market for maybe a defenseman. I don't think they're going to be in Alex Pietrangelo. If they can't afford Krug, I don't know how they would afford Pietrangelo at that rate. But I think they will go for Ben Hutton. I see a 1-year deal right now at $3.5 million. Had a pretty solid underrated year in LA offensively. I think has some potential there. He's not Torrey Krug, and I don't think he should ever expect to be. But a 1-year deal I think is serviceable, and Boston can definitely afford that. I'm now going to the Buffalo Sabres. At this spot, I think they will I think they will sign Mike Hoffman. I see the deal being 3 years at $7 million, a power play sniper that I think they will be able to afford. Again, not too much long term, which I think will be important for them, but a guy who can really upgrade that power play and just overall that offense in general. I think Buffalo's going to be heavy on this free agent market, and Hoffman's going to be the biggest guy they sign. Then going on to Calgary, I see them making the big deal, potentially getting the best goaltender in this market in Jacob Markstrom. I see them giving a 6-year deal out for $7 million. I'm not sure if Markstrom gets that 7th year in Calgary, but I think this is the biggest contract that he will get. I think Calgary's definitely loaded up to give out that kind of contract, especially with guys like Giordano coming off the books in the next couple of years. They'll have a lot of cap space there potentially, and I think they'll want to get a big-time goaltender that can actually put them in contention, and Markstrom is definitely a worthwhile bet. I think that's probably the best goaltender out there in free agency. I'm not sure I'd give out that much term and that much money, but still an excellent goaltender, and again, hopefully the starter of the future for the Calgary Flames. And now going to another team that I could see Jacob Markstrom going to, but I kind of see Carolina firstly trading for their starter goaltender, and we'll get into that in the one player every team will trade for this offseason video, so look over that as well. But for the Carolina Hurricanes in free agency, I kind of see them going a little bit more low-key, but going for a winger, 1-year deal, and I think that guy will be Jesper Fast. Of course, from the New York Rangers, very solid overall player that has a lot of drive and a lot of effort in his game. I think Carolina would love to have him in their middle six, and I feel like with Jesper Fast, maybe he'd want more of a long-term deal if he went to less of a contender, but to a team like the Carolina Hurricanes, that's a pretty solid chance to win the Stanley Cup, and I think he'll be that bona fide guy on the third line that can really just play well and grind grind the other team down, and I think that's what Carolina will really love to add on that bottom six. Then going on to the Chicago Blackhawks, really, they have no cap space, so I don't even know what they're going to do, but I think if they're going to make any moves, it's going to be for a super low-term, low-cost contract, and I think Brad Richardson as a fourth-line center can make sense. They have a couple of options. Maybe Kampf goes as their fourth-line center, but if they are going to sign somebody, I think it is going to be more of a veteran move. Brad Richardson, a guy who can really do well on short-handed and all that different stuff, solid defensively as well at points. I think just for a one-year deal, not too bad of a contract. Then going on to the Colorado Avalanche, we go to another one-year deal, and that being Taylor Hall. Now, I had this in my predicting where the big free agents video will go, or big free agents will go video, and I feel like with Taylor Hall, him in Colorado just makes sense. It might not be a long-term deal, but if it is for 1 year, I think it would make sense for Hall and for the Avalanche. As we've seen, they want to load up before the Landeskog and Cale Makar contracts come into play, and I feel like Taylor Hall would just be the perfect add on that top six. And in Colorado, he wouldn't be forced to be on that first line, which I think is good for Taylor Hall as well. But that's the type of team that I think can kind of rejuvenate his offense, and I think that's the type of team that he will purely dominate on if he has a chance. Then going on to the Columbus Blue Jackets, nothing too major. I feel like they'll sign Stefan Noesen, solid bottom six player who actually played pretty well with San Jose in the later stretch of the season. Solid player, Texas-born stud. I think they'll sign him for 1 year and $925K. Then going on to the Dallas Stars, same kind of move, low signing here. I think they'll go for Joakim Nordstrom from the Boston Bruins, 1 year for $850K. Solid depth, but Dallas is really not going to have too much cap space after they go for Gurianov, guys like Rupé. They might not even have enough cap space to sign Anton Khudobin, so that's also going to be something to watch. Then going on to the Detroit Red Wings, I see them signing Torrey Krug, 7 years at $7.5 million. Detroit, in my opinion, is maybe the only team that can actually give what Torrey Krug will want and actually would give up that type of offer. Detroit still is pretty wealthy in terms of riches, and I think they can definitely go for a big fish in the sea, and Torrey Krug just makes sense. He's from Michigan, from the Detroit area, probably grew up a Red Wings fan, and I feel like Detroit could definitely use him for that rebuild. He's still decently young in his late 20s, and I think still can be a very productive player when Detroit finally turns around and becomes a contender, and I feel like for Detroit it would be worth it if they were to bring in a guy like that. Then going on to Edmonton, I have Johan Larsson, 1 year deal at $2.2 mil. That's the type of guy that I think would be perfect on that third line, solid overall player, and if they were to trade a guy like Adam Larsson or Mikko Koskinen, I think they would have well enough cap space for a 1 year deal. Very low risk, but a pretty solid add in my opinion. Now going on to the Florida Panthers, and the Panthers are a weird team to gauge in this free agency because we heard the rumors a couple months back that they would be willing to shed salary, but we've already heard them be in on guys like Mark Borowiecki. But the big guy that I think they're going to go for defensively is Brendan Dillon. A 3 year deal I see happening at $3.6 million. I think they will, in the end, want to shore up that defense. They might make some trades to make it happen. Maybe they get rid of Michael Matheson somehow or an Anton Strawman, but I think they will sign Dillon. I think he's just a great fit. Solid defensive player still at this point and can contribute quite well. He might not be worth that contract, especially that term, but I still think he can be a reliable guy for the Panthers, which is what they need on that top six. Then going on to the LA Kings, I see them selecting and signing Connor Sheary. I see it being a 3 year deal at $3.2 million, and I see this pretty much being a perfect fit for the LA Kings. He might not be perfectly young, but he's still more on the younger side, and I think can contribute quite well once LA, like Detroit, starts getting more on the contending side of things. But he's also kind of the perfect player for LA because he is more on the younger side, but still adds so much more experience as well with the cup wins with Pittsburgh and the time there with Sidney Crosby. I think him with a guy like an Anze Kopitar could work out quite well, and I think he could be a solid contributor on that top six too. Then going on to the Minnesota Wild, this one will be one of the most interesting signings I think I'll predict in this video, but I see them going after and acquiring and coming home Mikael Granlund. A 1 year deal I see happening for $6.5 million. A risky bet for both sides here, but a huge payoff could be in order. It just doesn't seem like Mikael Granlund has been quite there with the Nashville Predators, and we've already seen him kind of confirm that he will go to free agency, and it's likely that he won't return with Nashville. I think Minnesota is the perfect fit for a guy like that. Maybe he could return as center in his early NHL days just like that and be the perfect guy for the Wild, but even if he is a winger, I think that's the type of team that can rejuvenate him once again, go back to the team that he was scoring so many goals with, and I feel like that could be the best for both sides as well. Then going on to Montreal, Montreal, we already saw them make a couple moves with guys like Joel Edmondson. I think they will go for a fourth line guy, and they'll select Tobias Ryder. 1-year deal at $1 million. Low-end contract, but I think they're going to be heavy on the trades. You could see Domi, Deneau traded, a couple of guys like that, but I don't think Montreal is going to be super active after this either. Then going on to the Nashville Predators, I see them going for a depth defenseman in this free agency, and I think Trevor Van Riemsdyk is a pretty great fit. Just wasn't able to get the biggest opportunity on Carolina, obviously with that pretty stacked defense, but I think on that bottom six, be a sixth, number 5 defenseman, very serviceable guy. I think they'll sign him for 2 years at $1.2 million, get that low-end contract for a couple more years, and maybe shore up that bottom six. Then going on to the New Jersey Devils, I see them going after Evgeny Dadonov. To me, this is the perfect fit for the the Devils. He isn't super young, but that's the type of guy who I think could be a low-risk contract, can be a great power play guy, and a great sniper, but also be the perfect winger to slot on with a guy like Nico Hischier as a great playmaker. I think those guys can work off each other beautifully, and I feel like that's the perfect guy also that can be a mentor to other snipers if they go with guys like Alexander Holtz in this draft too. So I think for the Devils, it would be a pretty good fit. Now going on to the New York Islanders, and for this, literally nobody. They can't even sign guys like Matthew Barzal, so I don't think they're going to make even one free agent move if they keep this cap space right now, or lack thereof. Then going on to the New York Rangers, I see them signing Mikko Koivu. 1-year deal for $3 million. I think it's a perfect sign for the Rangers. Mikko Koivu, I don't think is going to look for very much money in this free agency. I think he's just going to look for the right opportunity and the right team to go to, and I feel like the New York Rangers are that perfect team. For me, Mikko Koivu is a perfect mentor for young guys, especially like Capo Kakko, who could definitely use the Finnish dad on the team, and Mikko Koivu could be brilliant there, and he also brings some pure defensive talent that New York is sorely lacking. He could be the second line center, maybe you have Hedl there, and maybe you have Koivu as the third line center, but to be honest, I just think as a team and chemistry fit, he just works so beautifully. Now going on to the Ottawa Senators, and at this spot, I think they will go after the best player on this planet, Greg McKegg. 1-year deal for $750K. I mean, if you're expecting them to go after a big guy, I don't know why. But Greg McKegg is the best player on the planet, so they don't even have to anyways. Good deal for them. Going on to the Philadelphia Flyers, I see them getting John Merrill, 1-year deal for $1.4 million. I really don't see him staying in Vegas. I see him going to free agency. And I think for Philly, he can be a solid 6th, maybe 5th defenseman, but play on that bottom pair and be quite serviceable. Then going on to the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think they will. Well, this is typical Rutherford at this point. I think they will go for Luke Schenn. I don't see Tampa keeping him, but with this run that he really hasn't been too a part of, but I guess he's been there, I think he'll get a 1-year deal for $1.5 million. Again, I don't know why Pittsburgh does what they do, but I think they will do this and go after Schenn to go on that bottom pair as well. Then going out of the San Jose Sharks, and I think they will go after and sign Anton Khudobin. 2-year deal for $6 million. Again, get the Dobbies in the comments down below. For me, the Stars will have a lot of trouble signing Khudobin, especially after this cup run. It was already, or final run at least, but it was already going to be a little bit of trouble even if Khudobin didn't go on this run, because he still was going to ask for at least like $3, maybe even $4 million because of how good he was as a backup. And they already have to sign Rupe, and they already have to sign Gurionov. Two guys have been wonderful throughout the playoffs, and I just don't see them having enough cap space unless they get rid of a couple of big key players in the team. I just don't see it happening unless they were to trade Ben Bishop or something. But I feel like San Jose will give the money that he wants. $6 million, I think, is a very respectable term, and I think they will give it to him. They have enough cap space right now, and most of the guys that are big term guys have, again, that long-term contract already signed, so they're not going to go into too much cap trouble over the next couple of seasons. They're already in the cap trouble, but I think Khudobin can be that starter and hopefully be better than Martin Jones at the very least. Then going on to the St. Louis Blues, I think they will have to sacrifice Alex Pietrangelo, and I think he will go to free agency as we've seen. But with Pietrangelo gone, I think they will go for another defenseman, and that will be Tyson Barrie. I think Barrie is a pretty interesting fit on the St. Louis Blues. Obviously, defensively is not going to be reliable there, but I think can, in some ways, be on that top power play, can be the offensive guy for the Blues. They already have a couple of interesting contracts, let's say, with guys like Justin Falk, but a 1-year deal for $3 million at this point, I think is a solid contract for the Blues and a solid bet to make, in all honesty. Then going on to the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're really not going to have too much cap space. They need to sign guys like Trelli and Sergachev especially, who's been wonderful in these playoffs, so I don't think they're going to go for much. Brett Ritchie, 1-year deal, $750K, solid player, like him on the Bruins and Stars, and I think he'll go to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Then going on to Toronto, unfortunately, I do not see them getting Alex Pietrangelo unless they were to trade a guy like William Nylander or both Janssen and friggin' Kerfoot. I just don't see it happening. But I do see them going after a lower grade defense, but still a guy who can fit a serious need, that being TJ Brodie. I see them signing him for 2 years at $5.2 million, but a guy who can be on that right side of the defense, but actually contribute defensively very well. I mean, this past season, he was wonderful defensively for the Flames. Was really, really great to see. And I feel like for the Leafs, it's not going to be a super long-term contract like they give for Pietrangelo, but a solid bet to make and somebody that can actually play defense on that team, which is a pretty good ad. Then going on to Vancouver, they really don't have too much cap space either, but I see them going for a fourth liner. Riley Sheahan, I see being a fit, 1-year deal at $400K. Can be a winger, I think, on that fourth line and be a serviceable guy there. Then going on to Vegas, I see this being the team that gets Alex Pietrangelo. I see them signing him for a 5-year deal at $8.6 million. Might not be the longest term he gets, but I think the most money he might get on this open market. I don't know if he'll get $9 million, but 8.6 is a solid ad. And hey, if you're Alex Pietrangelo, Vegas is one of the best bets to win the cup over the next couple of seasons, especially with the madness that happened versus Dallas. I think they'll be angry, and I think they'll want to get a lot in free agency, and I think Pietrangelo is the big guy they'll go after. Then going on to the Washington Capitals, I see them making a very interesting signing. 1-year deal, $2.5 million for Alex Galchenyuk. I think Alex Galchenyuk is just an interesting player. I still think has potential in the NHL level. Actually was pretty decent for Minnesota when they got him, but with him going to free agency now, I think Washington is a team that can bring him on, can come with that risk, but give him a short-term deal and just see what happens. I mean, you can learn from guys like Alex Ovechkin, and that's it. Like, that's all I think he needs. And I think that's the type of team that can really do well, especially with a guy like Peter Laviolette, who I think can maybe get him into shape. I think that's a solid team for Galchenyuk to go for. And I think Washington is a solid team for them to sign for. Then going on to Winnipeg, the last team in this video, and I have them signing Chris Tanev from the Vancouver Canucks. 3-year deal at $3.5 million. I think this just makes sense for the Winnipeg Jets. With a lot of the contracts, they have a lot of them signed long-term besides Patrick Laine, but they might end up trading him anyways. With Chris Tanev, that's a guy that can be a shutdown defenseman. With Vancouver, was very solid this season and was fully healthy, which is a great sign. There always is some risk when it comes to Chris Tanev, and giving him long-term, I think, is what Vancouver is going to be most scared about, and that will result in free agency. But I think Winnipeg's a great fit, and that's the type of team that badly needs a defenseman like Chris Tanev, in the own sense. They might not be available for the other guys, but Chris Tanev might be the fit there from Canadian team to Canadian team. Now, my voice is absolutely dead after the Game 1 win by the Stars, so keep in mind that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video anyways. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you're new. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well to get notified of every single upload. Share this video with your friends. Get it out there. Comment down below your thoughts on my picks. What do you agree and disagree with? And who do you think your favorite team will sign? Or what do you think your favorite team will do in free agency? Who do you see them going after? Make sure you click on this card right here to watch all of my predictions and picks videos right on playlist. My name is David, and I'll see y'all in the next video or stream. Thanks so much for 22K. Get the dobbies in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.